Welcome to Analyst Talk with Jason Elder. It's like coffee with an analyst, or it could be whiskey with an analyst reading a spreadsheet, linking crime events, identifying a series, and getting the latest scoop on association news and training. So please don't beat that analyst and join us as we define the law enforcement analysis profession one episode at a time.
How are we doing, analysts? Jason Elder here with another LEA podcast deep dive. Catching up with Don Reeby. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me here. Appreciate it.
All right. Always looking forward to catching up with you. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and crime analysis. So we're going to break down the key things that folks need to know and how to begin and then launch.
Yeah, and this is inadvertently turned into a little series for the podcast. I've gotten several different perspectives on AI from different folks now. And so for the listeners, I will put in the show notes the other episodes that we've recently covered on AI to give you a variety of perspectives. So, all right, Don, where do you want to start?
Well, I think it's important to really just talk about what AI is and kind of how we can optimize it as a tool for law enforcement analysts. When I first started with AI, I really didn't understand a lot of the terminology, the kind of those core terms. And so I think it might be helpful just to start there.
All right. So go ahead.
Yeah. So artificial intelligence, AI, it's not something that's far off in the distance. We already use different varieties of artificial intelligence, right? So we have flock systems, we have LPR systems. I would even classify mapping and projections as a form of AI. Essentially any kind of technologies that require some human intelligence to insert the information, but then the computer can do the things like identifying patterns or making recommendations. And so we do a lot of this, and we have a lot of this already in our workload. One of the newer ones would be Copilot that just kind of popped up over the last a year or two in regular Windows functions. So artificial intelligence is pretty much everywhere. We're calling it AI at this point because I don't really know. We're just calling it like it's something that hasn't existed, but it truly has been here for so long. And I think what's important to know is that there's different kinds of AI, right? So there's machine learning, right? That subset of AI that really uses some algorithms, maybe historical data to detect patterns or make predictions, right? So that's all your forecasting stuff, your identify an anomaly kind of systems, right? And then we have generative AI. And this is the AI that creates content. And so I think this is the one where folks have been fearing for a while, right? So this is where we create narratives, we create charts, we create maps or summaries or visuals or pictures or images of different things, where it generates it for us instead of us kind of creating it. And then there's another key term in AI that I just want to touch on called hallucinations. And so this is where and when AI just kind of messes it up for us, right? Like it takes, it sounds accurate, it looks accurate, but it really is not accurate. And I want to point this out because I think it's important for analysts to know and to recognize, and for leaders to know and recognize that AI is a tool. Just like mapping is a tool, just like flock is a tool, just like facial recognition is a tool. The AI models that we're going to talk about today, those are just tools for us, but we as analysts need to make sure that the tools that we are using are providing the output that we're really essentially looking at, right, or looking for. So it is going to take that critical analytical mind to figure out if this is actually what we want to say to our leaders and our commanders and so forth.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Most people have said that it still takes the critical thinking aspect of it. There's still a human factor that has to determine, is this correct, right?
100%.
When I had Debbie Osborne on talking about her book, and talking about writing, using AI to help her write her book. She has 20 years of crime pattern experience, so she knows exactly what is BS and what is not.
Exactly, and that's really important. Even if someone doesn't have 20 years, right? Let's say they're a newer analyst, you can still use AI and be the agent that controls it, right? And so it is critical that we understand that AI is not going to replace us, right? It's people who know how to optimize AI who will replace us.
Yes.
So Exactly. So if you're just the analyst, it's like, oh, I don't want to learn that stuff, or it's bad, or you have kind of a negative connotation around it. Robots will run our lives. The reality is it's here. It's the suspects are using it. We need to understand how to utilize it so that we can be better analysts in our operations as functioning as analysts, but also so that we can understand how the suspects could be potentially using AI as well.
I think that's a key point. And one of the things that I've found is you talked about the broad definition of AI. It seems like it's everything from simple ChatGPT questions to LLMs, large language models, and then Skynet for fully taking over
Mhm.
everything. And so I feel that middle part, that LLM aspect of this is really where I think analysis at the police department is and probably should be headed. So I
Yeah.
do see a scenario where analysts, if they're not willing to change, are going to be considered dinosaurs, and that people are going to come in with this concept of creating graph databases and being able to have a database that does a lot of analysis. And that I think is the potential to be replaced.
Exactly. Jason, I've done some training with supervisors, and for the past probably 3 to 5 years, they've been asking me, why should I pay a crime analyst when I can just use AI to do their job? And what that tells me is that agency does not know how to use analytics. That
Hmm.
agency that believes that analytics is simply statistics. So
Hmm.
we as analysts, we really need to do a better job of talking about the value and the contribution that we have, that we're more than just statistics, that we are
Hmm.
compilers of massive amounts of information to formulate it in a digestible way that leads operations. So yes, we use tools like Excel or Microsoft
Hmm.
Access or some great mapping program or some AI tool to streamline those efforts, right? To consolidate those efforts, to make them work faster. But analysis in no way is some output from an AI tool.
Hmm.
And so if an analyst is afraid that that's what their agency is saying, because this, I'm telling you, this is what some leaders are saying, then as a group of people, as an entity, it is our job to really talk about truly the impact of analysis. That agency that asked that, and it wasn't just one, they're missing the boat. They're missing the boat on what analysis could truly be, right? I just worked with an agency. They had their IT person setting up some dashboards, right? And they
Hmm.
called that crime analysis. I'm like, a dashboard is not crime analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use these dashboards because they pull together lots of information in a pretty easily viewable format, right? But that's not analysis. That's not the role of analytics, right? Of a crime analyst. So before we get nervous about using AI, we need to really say to ourselves, what is the impact that I'm creating at my agency? And secondary, what tools can I use to make that go faster or be more efficient or be more effective, right? And when we do that, when we shift that, then our leaders are going to shift from thinking that we are just a computer, because we're not. We're way more than that.
Yeah. I do find it interesting. It seems like when it comes to shopping, people don't have any problems with AI. And then
Hmm.
it seems like
Yes.
when there seems to be this stigma about using it for work, but to
Hmm.
use it for shopping seems to be perfectly acceptable. But I think there is this stigma of, oh, you use that to write, or you use that to create a PowerPoint, or you used AI to generate this message. I think of you a lot in this concept. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that analysts do that are very clerical that you wish they wouldn't have to spend so much time doing and have more time doing the critical thinking, doing the analysis. But you have these certain clerical tasks that are time consuming that just need to be done. And that spot right there is perfect for AI.
Exactly. I remember, I mean, I've been in this industry for 28 years, And I remember in the beginning of my career, a lot of the reports were handwritten. So we had to type them into our system, right? I remember where there would be a bunch of pieces of paper where someone would plop them on my desk and say, can you create a chart? So you got to
Mhm.
manually count a lot of these activities. We manually counted how many burglaries, how many rapes, how many murders, right? And then we moved years later into a phase of, oh, we have Excel or we have PowerPoint that we can say insert image and we can choose from some images,
Mhm.
or we have Excel that can do a pivot table for us or a slicer for us, right? So this is really just another way, like another level of making those processes easier so
Mhm.
that we can actually get to the analytical work. So I could easily say, well, I shouldn't use Excel because I shouldn't create a pivot chart in Excel because, that's going to take my job, right? And that would sound silly. That would sound
Mhm.
silly. But we're essentially doing the same thing when we say, I don't want to use AI because I feel this guilt, or I feel like it's not authentic, or I feel
Mhm.
like I'm doing something that is someone else's information. It's not. It's your information. And it's just a matter of figuring out which tools. And it could be Excel, it could be Access, or it could be ChatGPT, right? So really figuring out what tools are going to make this a little bit easier so that we can dig into the analytical work, so that we can do the analytical stuff that we were meant to do. So I wanted to share some examples of simple ways to use different tools. So maybe we could talk about some tools that are pretty easy to tap into today if an analyst wanted to, and then maybe some ideas to help them get their juices flowing. What do you think?
Sounds good. Let's go.
So ChatGPT is a tool, right? It's one of
Mhm.
the tools that I use pretty regularly. It is free, it can be free, and a lot of analysts I know still have a free version. That is open AI, so you would never want to put any police data in there. It's all, even if you think it's closed, it's not closed. You never put police data or any identifiable data into any of these platforms right now. Right now, they're not meant for that. So I'll use ChatGPT for a variety of things. ChatGPT to me is very similar to Grok, Grok. So both of these are text summarizing tools or text generating tools. You can throw some prompts into them. You can get some structured outputs. So a couple of examples of why I would use Chat or Grok or even Claude, Claude. So any one of those, I generally refer to Chat because it's pretty easy. But I'll use them to say, hey, my one of the most recent ways that I used it, I said, hey, my officers are always screwing up when to report something as a simple assault and when to report something as an aggravated assault. Can you develop a quick little cheat sheet for me that I can share with them? And
Mhm.
then I'll go and I'll make sure that it's correct before I share it with anybody, right?
Yeah.
'Cause we want to
Yeah.
make sure that it's correct, but it'll do some of the crafting of it for me. I might throw in a couple of examples. For instance, there was a road rage incident where someone threw an item at another vehicle. And the officer didn't know what to do. He wrote it down as a damage, even though there was no damage to the vehicle. Well, it's actually an assault because they're throwing an object at another person, right?
Mhm.
And so I kind of clicked that little button that looks like a microphone, and I just talked into it. And I said, "This is what we're struggling with as an agency. I'm the analyst, so I don't want to fix anyone's report, but I do want to provide some kind of education to our officers. And here are 3 issues." So I talked about the simple assault issue. I talked into ChatGPT about burglaries into vehicles. So those are thefts, breaks into vehicles. We called them burglaries for some reason, which they're not a 220. And 90Z, right? So I kind of explained some of the issues we were having, and I said, put together a cheat sheet for me. And it did very quickly. So now I'm able to run down to roll call and say, hey guys, for this month, we're going to focus on the difference between simple assaults and aggravated assaults, right? How easy is that? Why would I want to spend my time on that as an analyst? I wouldn't. But it really benefits the agency and it benefits me as an analyst because I'm able to bring some education and some tools to my team.
Yeah.
Um,
And you did that very, very quickly. I think
yeah.
there's two struggles that I see a listener having with that.
Mm-hmm.
One is maybe they really enjoy the graphic design or the PowerPoint or the writing, the bulletin writing, right? They really enjoy that aspect of their job. And two is publishing work as their own, even though it's not something that they actually did,
Yeah.
right?
I
And I
mean,
think that's a
people,
struggle.
yeah, I think it could be. I mean, especially if it's like a cheat sheet or a paragraph, like you can
Yeah.
say was generated by ChatGPT on January 30th, 2026.
Yeah.
But the reality is you're generating it. You're putting the information into it. Something, the bot, is
Hmm.
just organizing it for you, right? And so you
Hmm.
can change it, you can alter it, you can pull stuff out, you can put stuff in. I mean, if you think about it, Jason, when you're in Word, right?
Hmm.
And it puts a little squiggly line under something you spelt incorrectly.
Hmm.
Do you say, well, I shouldn't fix it because technically Word fixed that for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, of course not. And
Yeah.
so I think it's okay if you feel really tough, if it feels really tough for your heart and soul, then just document that ChatGPT helped you
Yeah.
generate this, and that's okay.
How we doing, Alice? January 30th is my birthday, and instead of cake, I'm asking for your feedback. Analyst Talk Now has passed 300 episodes, and I want your thoughts on what to keep, what to rethink, and what topics you want to cover next. The podcast listener feedback survey takes about 10 minutes to complete, and yes, this is your chance to tell me what you really think. The survey is open now until February 15th. Please see the link in the show notes to complete the survey. Thanks for helping shape what comes next. I think, especially when it comes to writing, that can have guilt associated with it because, look, I can give it to you, Dawn, my writing, and have you red mark through a couple of things, and I go back through and rewrite it. I would be okay with it. Okay, it's still my work. I think with when you throw it into ChatGPT, and now ChatGPT has rewritten the whole thing, still accurate, still giving the same message, but now you're taking that and plopping it in as if you wrote it yourself. I think there's definitely a stigma. There's just some uneasiness about that.
And that's okay. That's okay if you want to produce a pivot chart and say this was generated in Excel, you can do
Hmm.
that. If
Hmm.
you want to produce a PowerPoint presentation and document that you used photos from Pictory or Pick Me Up or whatever it is, then go for it. If you want to document this, but the reality is we're not writing research articles.
Yeah.
We're using tools, and quite honestly, I would use a tool from my area agency if it applied to me. I wouldn't take the credit for it, but I would say, hey, I got this from Lawrence Police Department. It would work for us too. Let's walk through it. So you got to
Yeah.
really say, like, what's the impact that you want to have? If the impact you want to have is to address a data quality issue and you don't want to spend your time writing, the government already did that. They wrote the NIBRS manual, right? So if you don't want to spend time writing and you just want to do a little cheat sheet, I see nothing wrong with saying, hey, here's a cheat sheet that we produced. If you want to note it to be ChatGPT assisted, that's fine. But the reality is the impact of that cheat sheet is the bigger piece.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't recommend writing a school paper. I wouldn't recommend writing, a complete report, but I think you can use things like chat as a thinking agent as well, right? So
Mhm.
you can say, hey, I'm tasked with developing a strategic plan for my agency. Can you give me some models or can you walk me through steps of how to develop a strategic plan? Let's say you never did that before.
Mhm.
Or maybe you are, you have a bunch of assaults at bars happening. Well, in the past you would just go to the pop center to research what best practices exist, right? So you might say, okay, well, give me some best practices that exist around assaults at bars in the downtown area and reference pop center. And if you do reference something else, provide me the link so that I can go research it myself, right? So I think that there's ways that you can really authenticate the work that you're doing in a way that feels good for everybody involved.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
and
if
I think in reality too, back to your cheat sheet, is the
Yeah,
cheat sheet useful? Is it accurate? Yes.
right,
Like it's
right,
good. Is it being used? Like those are the big questions to answer.
exactly. And let's say you're working on a formula in Excel or Access and you just can't figure out where the comma goes.
Hmm.
Why is it awful to just run it through a chat platform and say, hey, I'm looking to do a time analysis and here are the two field names. What am I missing in this formula, right? And then when we take that, we use that. So it's a learning tool for us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other things I've seen agencies do is policies, right? So they have policies around everything under the sun, everything under the sun, right? Yeah, I had an analyst supervisor. She's developing a real-time center, and she wanted to develop a series of policies: what to do when there's a robbery, who do you like, what to deliver in the first 2 hours, the first 4 hours, and so forth and so on, who to contact, when to contact them, what happens if this scenario leads to the next scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she used ChatGPT to develop procedures and an overarching policy on when to use real-time center versus their crime analysis function. So she had to do the work of putting in the content and adjusting some things here and there. But in the end, she was able to develop her policies from a template, from a structure, and didn't have to jump into it for the first time by herself.
Yeah. And I'm sure she had some facts and some ideas in her head already that she was looking for, looking to reassure her that she was on the right path. And I'm sure there was things that Chat came up with that she didn't think about.
Well, and that's exactly right. So you can actually throw your policy that you already developed by hand into Chat or Grok or Claude or whatever and say, hey, can you take a look at my policy and see, am I missing any key components based on best practices? Are there other things for me to think about that I didn't think about here? So having someone like a buddy look at your work is great, but buddies don't always have time to do all that. So dumping it into Chat and saying, hey, what did I miss? What doesn't make sense? What's not clear? What should I be thinking about? Is a really great utility of some kind of open AI tool like that.
Yeah.
You mentioned the grocery piece or buying your groceries. I mean, like if we think about this, being able to say, find the best price online for cat food. Like, why do we struggle with this? We would do this anyway. We plug it in. There's so much AI out there right now that it really is quite overwhelming for somebody. I mean, there's things popping up all the time. Zoom just came out with their new AI tool. Teams has a bunch of AI tools in it. Do you want us to record this conversation and give you the transcript, right?
Yes.
So talking about that, that's another great use for Chat. So I went to a meeting the other day with our hospitals. So we have a clinical program at our police department where our clinicians co-respond, and we wanted to develop relationships in the community. So we invited the local hospital to talk with us about how the section's going. Are we sending you the right people? How can we improve and all of that? And so we sat through this meeting. I scribbled down a few notes, and then I literally just talked into the system and said, hey, these are our meeting notes. I think we mentioned something about X, Y, and Z. Our next meeting is April 8th. Justin said that he would provide a list of X, Y, and Z. Put this all together in notes and provide a list of action steps so I know what to do when I leave, when I'm at the end of the day. And so that's what it did. It just gave me my meeting notes, and then it gave me my things that I had to do. I read it. I'm like, yeah, much of this made sense. I kind of go back and tailor it a little bit, but most of it made sense. And I was like, yeah, perfect. Now I have my action steps so I can put it on my bulletin board.
Yeah. So and that's perfect, right? That's that clerical stuff that analysts may be tasked to do that they really don't really want to do or maybe should be doing, but it's kind of a necessary evil. That's a great example of stuff that just happens in the background. You can leverage it, you can tweak it, but you've just turned probably typing up notes. It can be done in 5 minutes when it maybe took you a half hour to do.
Exactly. And then not only do you have a list of priorities, but it's a sense of accountability too. You can send your notes off to other people, and then when you're meeting up with them afterwards, you all know what to talk about. Oh, yes, I have to do that. Thank you for reminding me, or whatever it might. So I think I want to mention one more tool, because I know we've been kind of talking about the conversational AI tools. There's tools that will create videos for you as well, right? So I'm thinking about NotebookLM, for instance, and these are free. All the things that I'm talking about, there's paid versions as well, but you can still use the free tools. So NotebookLM is one that I've discovered over the last few months that's really helpful. So it's pretty pretty wild. So that cheat sheet, I literally uploaded the cheat sheet into NotebookLM and said, can you create a 2-minute video for roll call for our officers about this particular topic of the simple assaults and aggravated assaults? And it did. It did. It created this video that I can put on our internal platform that says if someone's over 60, it does not mean that it's an automatic aggravated assault. So it's just another tool that we can use. One of the greatest ways that I used this NotebookLM tool recently, I shared with you that we had that clinician program. Well, that clinician program was once grant funded, and now we are moving into requesting that the city fund it fully. It's already funded partially, but we want it to fund it fully. So how do you get city council folks and the mayor to know the great work that you're doing? Well, there's only so many emails that they're going to read, but sometimes they will look at a short 2 to 5 minute video.
Yeah.
So we record our success stories in Excel, and then I load the success story into NotebookLM, and I say, can you create a video that's catching, that speaks to a political leader, that talks about the cost effectiveness? Here's how much money we saved on diversion this month, and that helps them understand the human part of where the money is going. And then it creates the 2-minute video, and I send it to my chief, and I'm like, hey chief, here's a video that you can share with the city council folks and the mayor before you meet with them so that they can see some of the success stories that are going on. So we're trying to do that once a month now. It literally took me, I don't know, a total of 4 minutes, and 3 of the 4 minutes was just finding where I put the file. And so I think that there's ways that we can be guiltless when we understand that we want the people of our community to be supported by this beautiful mental health program, and we have 50,000 other things that we're doing. We don't have interns. So can we do something quick and easy that's going to keep our city council folks in the loop, knowing and hearing in these bite-sized ways that the money that they put into us is working, right? That the costs are being diverted as a result of this work. And so I think that there's ways that we can utilize tools like this to really get the word out about what crime analysis can be, what great programs we have, and leverage them to create manuals and tools and videos and training, NIBRS training tools and whatever it might be, in a way that feels good, in a way that feels really good and really supported.
Now, curious on that notebook, is there music? Is there voiceovers? Is there computer generated voice? Can you put your own voice in there? Is it that customizable?
Yep. Yeah, it is. So you can choose the voice that you want. You can say, I want a male soft voice, sounds clinical because it's therapy, whatever you want it to do. You don't have to. If you leave it blank, it'll just kind of guess what you want. And usually it's pretty good at guessing. There are ways to create your own voice, and then it uses that. So that's my next adventure is 11 Labs does a pretty decent job of that. So I'm looking into that, but I do believe it's the paid version. I have to double check on that. But that brings us to a really good point. Criminals could literally take your chief and put him in a video and fake his voice and create an AI video with your chief in it, or with anybody, right? Like anybody. And it's fake, and it might be criminal, like the things that they're asking. You get scams all the time. And so imagine if the scammer figured out how to make your chief's voice, So, or any kind of fraudulent voice, right? So I think it's important for us not only to utilize that, because we're kind of shifting here. So not only to utilize these tools for ourselves, but also to understand the criminals are way ahead of us right now in terms of AI, right?
Yeah.
So it's important that we don't ignore it. It's not going away. It's here. Just like back in the day, they thought Excel was going away. It's not going away. Excel is here.
Well, it reminds me in a way of social media. For those that have been around long enough, there was this hesitancy about social media and the police department.
Yes.
And it might seem odd now to think about it that way, but there was definitely a lot of concerns about social media and law enforcement in the aughts. And so it definitely is taking time and it's accepted now. And I just think it's going to be the same thing with some of these tools, AI tools.
I think so too. And if we didn't make it clear before, I just want to reiterate, like, you don't want to ever put identifiable stuff in here,
Hmm.
right? Like this is not Excel on your desktop.
Yeah.
You don't want to put CGIS data in here. You don't want to put anything. If you have one murder in your city, you don't want to talk about a murder and put
Yeah.
the details in, like nothing identifiable at all. It's really important. But to your point, I think you're right. Like where these newer tools, these newer open AI tools and kind of chat tools and things of that nature, they could feel so alien, but a year or 2 years from now, they're not going to be alien anymore. They're probably going to be very mainstream. You know?
Well, I think too, another piece of advice I would have for those that have dove in and use AI and use chat, take time to always review the output because
Right.
in our fast-paced world of trying to get things done, trying to get our checklist done, I'm very guilty of like really quickly reviewing something, not really taking the time. And to publish something in AI that is either wrong or maybe it just looks really, really fake,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to have a detrimental effect on your audience.
I think so. I think we can really just think about what analysts overall need to be thinking about is what is the impact that I'm looking to make. And when we
Hmm.
look at the impact that we're looking to make, we probably can cut out a lot of the work that we do that nobody reads, that doesn't make sense to do anymore. We're so afraid to because we have these kind of perverted versions of what productivity is, right? And so, but when we really get down to it, if we cut out the stuff that doesn't matter, automate the stuff that can be automated, that's really going to open up our time for that deep work so that we're not rushing, so that we're not pushing things out the door as soon as it looks like it's done, so that we are spending time really making sure that this productivity is slow productivity and deep productivity and less of the produce a thing and more produce a thing that matters.
Exactly.
So if people are just like, oh my gosh, how do I even begin? It's everywhere. I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. I started at Excellence in Analytics. I started the 12-week AI micro training series for analysts. And so this is where you kind of get introduced to some analytical ways to use AI. So each week you get this email and it'll be a new tool or like a deeper version of a tool and an experiment that you can do with it. So everything is intended to be 15 minutes long so that you're not overwhelmed, you're not spending so much time on these tools, but more you're just learning them and you're getting excited about the ones you want to get excited about. The 12 weeks is, I would say 90% of it is free tools. There's a couple where I'll talk about, like ChatGPT has a paid version, so we can talk about some of the tools in there, like agents in there that might be helpful.
Hmm.
But overall, I wanted to give analysts a way to just take small, teeny bites every single week. So that program is available. It's an open enrollment. So you just kind of pop in. And when you do it, week 1 through week 12, we'll kind of give you some really good baseline as to how you can use AI as an analyst in a slow way. Now, if you're an analyst who already uses AI, we do have a separate section in our vault called AI hacks and guides and all kinds of extra tools that if you want to go a little bit deeper, there's a step by I'm a huge step-by-step person. So there's a step-by-step on how to do everything that we talk about so that you can just replicate the whole thing. And I certainly rely on, we have our grouply meetings where we talk about how are folks using it. And today we had our group meeting and they were curious about a few things, create these different hacks. So I'm on my way to go create some more hacks.
Hacks
And some
for
more
hacks.
hacks for hacks, exactly, and flow by flow tools because I want to take the nervousness, the FOMO, the chaotic feeling, the guilt. I want to take all of that out of learning AI and just give a really easy platform where you can digest it in small micro bites.
Yeah, sounds good. And for the listeners, we'll put in links in the show notes for more information on that, should you be interested.
Awesome.
All right, Don, this has been great. Really appreciate you as always. I'll give you the final word.
Well, the I guess I just want to wish everybody strength as you navigate through this new era of crime analysis, and know that a computer is not going to replace you, right? We are just strengthening our skills and joining together as a team of people who build analytical legacy. And we really get to decide what that looks like. And so be part of the teams that help build that foundational legacy of a crime analysis function with absolute excellence.
Nice. All right. Thank you so much, Dawn, and you be safe.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you for making it to the end of another episode of Analyst Talk with Jason Elder. You can show your support by sharing this and other episodes found on our website at www.leapodcasts.com. If you have a topic you would like us to cover or have a suggestion for our next guest, please send us an email at leapodcasts@gmail.com. Till next time, analysts, keep talking.